I'm Dave Prouse with the Tech Question of the Day for March 1st, 2017, and this is on the topic of network switching. There have been IT consultants in and out of your office and server room over the past couple of days. This morning, when you arrive to work, you get several reports of intermittent network connections from people in the facilities department and the marketing department. Examine the diagram that you see and answer the following questions. Why are the two departments having network connectivity issues? And what can you do to fix the problem? So take a look now, and I'll be back in a moment with the answer. Okay, so there appears to be a switching loop between the sales and marketing switch and also the facilities/warehousing switch. Note that both of these connect to a master switch, which is a 10 gigabit per second switch, and these are 1 gigabit per second switches, and here's their connections to that master. But notice also that they have another connection between each other. Now, generally, this is a no-no because it can create a loop causing various network connectivity issues between the affected switches, and which could even expand beyond those switches to other switches and other devices on the network. Now, perhaps one of the consultants added a patch cable between the switches. Maybe you did. Who knows what happened? But further investigation is definitely required here. Now, the easiest way to fix the problem would be to remove this additional patch cable that's here. Just disconnect it. Now, depending on the type of the switches that are being used, we might also consider incorporating STP, or the spanning tree protocol, which can, in the right environment and with the right devices, detect and avoid loops. But we really need to look further. Why did this happen? Was there a need for additional connectivity? Or was there a need for faster data transfer rates between these two switches? If so, some other type of solution should be implemented. And, sometimes switches will come with GBIC ports that can allow for separate connectivity and faster connectivity. Or we could create some type of routed connection between these switches. Put a router in the middle here, which would most likely fix the problem. Or we could do VLANs or IP subnets. Now, this is very generic network documentation, so we don't really know exactly what would be the best way to go. But those are some options. Regardless, simply making another connection between the switches will not increase the data transfer rate. It doesn't work in an aggregate type way. So you need to keep that in mind. This is a hierarchical switch format. We have all these department switches connecting to a master switch. And so, that's common. You'll see that in a lot of places. We're not showing any types of routers or any other types of devices, just the switches in this case. Now, you need to have some type of map. You really do. So network documentation is really important. Continuing with our LOTR theme, we've got Rivendell here, and Frodo and his band of adventurers are leaving, it appears. And, you just don't know what's out there, but you have a feeling there's a lot of evil out there. I used to love the Tolkien books. I still do. Read them as a kid and even later on. The whole LOTR thing, the Lord of the Rings. And it was interesting because when you read the books, you actually got a map. And the map was in the book, and you could follow along and see where they were going. But as I seem to remember, they did not have a map. So, I don't know. My advice would be turn around, stay at Rivendell, or just get on a boat and go across the ocean, or who knows what. But you need a map. You got to have a map if you're going to know where you're going or know what you're doing. And so we need a network map as well. We need a network diagram. So you want to make sure that you have one. Just a couple days ago, I went to a customer and there was no network documentation. And so I had to create that for them. And, it was a little confusing because there was cables everywhere. So it took a while to figure out what everything was connected to. But the documentation can be really good because it can help you to troubleshoot problems. Now, if somebody just went in there and connected these two switches together, that's not going to show up on your network documentation because this is a bogus connection. Who's going to put that in the network documentation? Nobody. But this is more of an illustrative type of thing. If you were to go in the server room, you would see this additional connection and know that it's not right. And in fact, if you went to your network documentation, this connection wouldn't be there. And then you'd say, oh, okay, that's not supposed to be there, or at least as far as my network documentation says, it's not supposed to be there. So we need to take a look and see what the problem is, and most likely disconnect that cable. But as it stands, there was that connection, so we had to get rid of that guy. Now, network mapping, network diagramming, very important. This is made manually. I created this manually using Concept Draw Pro, and I use that a lot. I also use Visio for customers if they require it, and I've been using Microsoft Visio forever. That's the de facto standard. But I like Concept Draw Pro because it suits my needs. It's cheaper. It runs pretty well, has a lot of templates and stuff like that. I like how it works. There's also Lucid Chart, which is all web-based and is you pay for it monthly, and it's got some really nice PowerPoint presentation integration, so you might be interested in that as well. I personally don't use that for what I'm doing here, just because I need a program to run locally. I can't rely on a web-based connection for what I'm doing. But it's also a decent program, something you should look into if you're interested in this. So again, Lucid Chart, Concept Draw Pro, Visio, and then you have others. You have Spiceworks, and you have SolarWinds with some high-end software. And then you get into the automated network mapping, which you can use. SolarWinds has that, and a lot of other companies. And there's also free programs out there for automated network mapping and also just for manual network mapping. For example, KEOPS. And so you might be interested in those. So take a look around and see what's the best for you. But you want to have some type of network documentation showing what connects to what and how. And that's really going to help you when troubleshooting problems and when adding on or modifying or configuring the network. So that's it for today, and I'm Dave Prowse. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to contact me at my website, davidlprowse.com.